LSU. We picked the right time to launch our LSU podcast this month. Little did we know all that was going to transpire here in the month of October. LSU with their 3 losses, only 1 win, and more bodies strewn around than a horror movie, befitting for our day of Halloween here on our broadcast. This is Frank Duffy, and you are back in the Geaux show, our 4th show. And since last we met, there's been a few things that have been happening here under broad magnolias and stately oaks there, Brendan Martin. We have joined y'all in the coaching search, but we've upped it one more. We've said, hold our beer. Not only are we having to get a new coach, we have to get a new president. We have to get a new AD. It's gone off the rails here at LSU, and our governor right now is being lampooned from sea to shining sea. It's like the remake of The Waterboy 2. And we understand this is not good for the search that we're in right now. Who's going to want to come in and step into this mess? And we've only hurt ourselves. And last night, if you haven't heard the latest, our AD, Scott Woodward, wound up either being pushed on the sword, falling on the sword. I guess after your governor goes out and demasculates you on 1 million internet hits from all across the country saying that you will not be the person that's making the decision of who the hire is, well, I guess you got to go. And here's the problem, Brendan. He has brought 4 national championships to LSU. It's not like he was some piker off the street. And he's a Baton Rouge guy, and he's an LSU guy, LSU grad.
Yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, look, you guys are no stranger to craziness going on. You deal with the Bull Gator Club all the time. Them throwing around decisions and money like it's nickels and dimes out of the cushions of the couch. But here at LSU, it's a political animal. And yes, the governor, who, by the way, I support politically. I don't support him in all the shenanigans he's been doing this week. But I am a supporter of Jeff Landry. But, when you're the governor, you get to basically put on the board of supervisors of LSU who you want. And I've got a good friend of mine that was from the previous regime that was on the board of supervisors for all of Louisiana universities. It's a different thing than LSU. But when you're the governor, you get to put on who's the board, and then they decide who not only is the president, but who is the AD. Well, Jeff Landry totally threw that out the window and said, we're going to cut out the middle 2 steps. We don't have a president, and I'm gunning the AD right now. And that is what has transpired. I mean, the Brian Kelly news is like it's wrapping up the shrimp wrappings, the shrimp shells just from 3 days ago. It's so off the front page, it's not even funny. And look, I thought I was going to come on and talk about the buyout, which, by the way, LSU got a wonderful discount, allegedly, for a moralities clause. Again, allegedly.
What's the allegedly, not allegedly rumor?
It's the one thing that's undefeated. And that's allegedly with the reason that we got a great discount. The numbers that I'm hearing is between the $20 to $27 million range. Obviously, it's probably never going to come out officially because that's like part of the buyout
thing. Like, we'll take this buyout if you take it all at one lump sum.
That was part of it. That was part of it. And by the way, that's another beef that I have with the governor. He was on his rant saying that he doesn't want the taxpayers to foot the bill. Taxpayers were never footing the bill. This was before A&M could start doing their cultish celebrations in Tiger Stadium. They're swaying and swagging and all this. By the way, go out and win something, boys. If y'all haven't sniffed a national championship, we've got 3 in the last 25 years. But when they were doing that, before they even left the stadium, all the big donors up at LSU had already passed the hat. We already had the $54 million, from what I'm hearing, and it's all private donors. Well, apparently we wound up getting a discount on Sunday. But when Kelly exit stage left, we're thinking, okay, we're a great fit for a coach. We're going to be a great destination for a coach to come in and step in, whether it be Lane, Dan Lanning, any of the other hot coaches that you're hearing. Hell, I even heard Nick Saban was in the Baton Rouge airport on Tuesday.
I mean, it was a real thing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing, because this is my take, and I fortunately am one of the owners and with my father of GatorBait Media .com, just shameless plug there. But we broke the story, initial story with our crew here on sidelines.live about what was really going
Yeah,
on.
Buddy and Fran.
Yeah,
I
well, it
listened
was
to it.
Rob,
Yeah.
myself, and then we went work with friends. A real team effort, real journalism that went down, and we were able to come up with the fact that there was a contract and an offer on the table, which everyone told us we were crazy. But you know what? It was the
It
smoke
was.
that pushed everyone out. I promise you right there, because my phone wouldn't stop ringing for about 3 days, and we had thousands and thousands of people that reached out. And but we're doing our job. We weren't trying to work
Yep.
under the cover for Jimmy Sexton or anything like that. And that's a nice transition, because Jimmy Sexton is really, I don't blame Jimmy Sexton. I think Jimmy Sexton's just good at what he
Sure he
does,
is.
and he is getting these guys the most money he can. Call it a monopoly, call it whatever you want, but you can't blame the guy, because he's pitting one against the other, a la LSU, a la
Yes.
Florida. And I give LSU a lot of props right now, because what LSU does and what you all do is you cut ties early. You get it done, because look at what's happening at Florida. There's two ways to go with this.
Yep.
Build a program, do it, da 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 da. Look, this isn't 2005, right? Like recruiting matters, but not as much as it used to, a la Lane Kiffin and the Portal King.
Yep.
And we're in a position where head coach matters, because that name matters to getting the bigger players that want to go
No doubt.
to this level. And if you're going to pay that coach that much money, then you'll be able to pay somebody else. Billy Napier was really good at getting guys in the door. Look, but you can go back all the way to Dan Mullen, and it's a slippery slope that you can slip off quick.
Sure.
And I think LSU gets that. It's okay to make a bunch of noise, but tell me right now, nobody really anticipated this to come down the line.
No, not as quickly.
And that was smart.
Yeah.
Really smart.
Brian Kelly had his problems because he made horrible hires at OC and DC over the last 3.5 years. However, I was on the field before the game, rubbing elbows with Shaquille and a lot of our big donors. Happened to be down there. Went up to my seat on the 43-yard line. I'm sitting there watching this, 25 rows up. And we went from being up on the number 3 ranked team in the country by 4 at halftime to having a coach be gone before the game was over with. And here's the thing, Kelly's personality causes him problems wherever he goes because he's not well liked. He didn't have a lot of friends that were in the facility. And he went in on Sunday to meet with Scott Woodward, who I think is a great AD, a fantastic AD. And look, the Jimbo thing wasn't his. Bjork went in and gave him the extension. The buyout, the fingerprints was Bjork's, not Scott Woodward's at Texas A&M. Yes, Scott screwed up, but it was the hire that everybody said was the dream hire. Hell, I thought the guy was not going to not only be the 4th LSU coach to win a national championship, I thought he was going to be the freaking first one to win too. That's how good we thought it was, but it came off the rails. But you got to give Scott Woodward credit. He gunned him. And the reason he gunned him is when Kelly went in on Sunday, allegedly, apparently, in the discussions, he was going to throw people under the bus. But Woodward, when Woodward said, you got to make changes, Kelly stood pat and Woodward said, fine, then you're gone. Mm-hmm. But what we didn't expect was the governor to step in. And now, because they've had this political rift going on quite a while, people in the know knew it. That when that happened, now Scott's out. And Scott is a great AD. And who's going to want to come step into this mess when you've got Huey Long, who I like politically, but I don't like meddling in LSU sports. Well, and that's the problem.
One thing that doesn't mix is politics and sports. It just doesn't. Right. We have a rule about it, right? And I think, and everyone follows the rule because everyone knows it's going to ruin it. You can't have fun with anybody and be on certain teams. This is where you got to lay down the law. You just got to go and be a fan, and that's it. And that's what I love about sports. By the way, we're showing a picture you sent me the other day, but
Yeah.
on Twitter
That
with
was that was that was Brian Kelly having lunch with all of his friends. That was right before he got on the plane to leave Baton
right.
Rouge. That, in a nutshell, is his problem. Look,
Well, no, but see, that's what's weird because like we had Lauren Meadows report that he saw Billy Napier in the in the gym working out the next day, and Warren went up and said, "Hey, thanks for da da da," and he said, "Yeah, he seemed like he was sad and he almost wanted to cry," and it was like, why in the f would you be out in public in this it just shows you what kind of an attitude in the end that a lot of these guys do have in the sense because I think if you were if you cared that much, I think you just couldn't show your face in a lot of
well, I've been to Superior Grill. You got to have the $20-some-odd million buyout to afford the queso. I'm just letting you know. And
well,
by the way, we actually,
but here's the thing: Dave Bartu's on the show right before this, and he's telling us
I know.
on paper, statistically, analytically, this year, like he's got the best numbers. Brian Kelly's got.
Yeah.
It's not like you're looking at a Billy Napier style record.
No.
Like he can coach, and that's why I say it's a slippery slope.
Well, this is the perfect segue to bring in our guest. Stephanons Hadjiyannis is a young man out on the West Coast. Again, he is going to be in this business one day. I wanted to bring him on because he's a big Clemson guy. And what I thought was interesting is both he and our team played each other at the other Death Valley at the very first start of the season. And to think that they're 3-4, we're 5-3. Dabo's hanging on by his fingernails, and Brian Kelly's out, and we have this dysfunctional search going on. Stephanons, where did we all go off the rails, buddy?
Honestly, I have no idea. It's just crazy to think I thought they were both top 5 teams going into the year, and I just don't know what happened.
Well, we were, and we were ranked, and that was a good ball game. But I think what wound up happening, you started to see the weakness in Clemson, which you've had to live through.
Yeah.
And I like Kublik. I think he's a good quarterback. He's got 15 TDs to only 4 interceptions this year. He's got like 1,500 yards. But wherever Dabo lost the team is the exact same thing that happened with Kelly. In fact, I was down 2 weeks ago also on the field early with my good buddy Lance Smith, All-American tackle from LSU. And I think Dabo's having the same problem. He lost the locker room. And the one word that's being tossed about with Kelly's last 4 or 5 games, we were just soft. And you're seeing that with Clemson right now as well. There's a lot of similarities.
Stephanons, I wanted to ask you, though, to dovetail what Frank said, the alumni, I heard, were a big part of starting this fire of saying Kelly's not the right guy. He's not the right guy at LSU. That a lot of the former players were coming back, Frank, and saying that they didn't like it. Dabo doesn't have that issue, correct, Stephanons?
Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah. So tell me more, explain to me like how, in your opinion, if you looked like how does Clemson hang on to that, to like what's that relationship that's so much difference between coach and school that these other teams are not having?
I mean, Dabo, he reworked that team, and I mean, he got us 2 championships in 2016 and 2018. So they have strong ties there, but I don't know at this point, because I thought they have the talent to be a top 5-10 team. So I don't understand. I think it's just they have a strong belief in Dabo, and he needs to get it together.
Is there grumblings that people talk about getting rid of Dabo, or what is the latest up there?
I mean, I haven't
conversation.
I haven't seen any rumors. I was looking at it last night, and I was just thinking how is Dabo not on the hot seat? Because they have the talent to be a great team. I just don't see how.
Well, that's the same thing. That's
dogs
why.
Are okay, Stephanons. We're cool. My dog's asleep right here.
That's why we're so alike. The similarities between Clemson and LSU are striking this year, and you're exactly right. Look, Dabo built up a lot of goodwill. That was a great run that he had. But in this business, what have you done for me lately? And sometimes the expectations, Stephanos, as you know, can cause yourself problems if you don't deliver. Brian Kelly himself said, "This is my most talented lineup that I've ever had," and that included Notre Dame. Dabo Swinney did the exact same thing this year coming in. You guys were anointed to be a walk-in, a shoe-in for the ACC. And when it doesn't happen, that discrepancy even is higher. And if y'all don't beat Duke, let me tell you something. With the blood that's in the water all around, and look, my good friend in Florida, Brendan Martin, will tell you, my producer, if you're not in line at the end of the musical chairs game, you're going to be in trouble. So I want you, Stephanons, I want you to keep your ears open, because if you guys lose to Duke, and Duke's a good ball club, they're a really good team, I want you to let me know, text me if you're starting to hear those rumors, because it would not surprise me with the way that the dominoes are falling right now that Clemson doesn't have to get in line, because after this round of firing, you're going to see at least 22 new coaches, the ones that are being fired and the one or leaving, and the ones that are coming in. I think that number could go. There could be 15 teams doing this, and that's 30 coaches moving. And you don't want to be the team next year that makes the decision, because everybody's going to be locked in. Well, what are your hopes and aspirations in this business, young man? I always like to see when somebody comes in. We've got another young man that's Rob's friend that comes in on our other show that wants to be in it. So what are you looking to do?
Ever since I was little, I was always into like stats and stuff, and I just love the game of football. I love looking at college, NFL, all that stuff, and like I played it all the way up to second year of high school, and I just hope to like stick with it my whole life, like be a part of football.
Well, we're going to get you in touch with Dave Bartu, because if you like statistics and you like doing computer type work, he might have an internship for you. You're what? You're a junior in high school right now?
Sophomore.
Sophomore. So we're going to get you in touch with our good buddy Dave Bartu and see if there might be an internship in for you.
I'm sure you're using and leveraging AI, but that's what Dave's all about, to get that mass data. So it's very nice to meet you. Where do you have a place where people follow you, or is that not a thing right now?
I have an Instagram, but
all right, well, you don't give it out. I don't want to like.
No, I don't care. I think it's private, so.
Oh, okay. Well, if you have anywhere where you post your articles, or if you write anywhere, or do you do anywhere you do commentary or anything like that?
Not really. Like last year I did a broadcasting class in high school, and that was pretty cool.
All right, we'll have you in here doing some of these shows before Thanks, Stephanons, for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
All right.
That's our Gen Z guys, man. We're branching out, Brendan.
Gotta look out for them, man. There's not a lot of them left. Look, so what is the look, I'm going to Jacksonville this
cocktail
weekend.
Party, baby. Yeah,
I know. My kid also has a soccer game in Jacksonville, ironically. But I'm like, great timing, really good planning. But I'm gonna go, and I'm like you, Frank. I go. I don't go to the stands afterwards, but I shoot footage for Gator Media, and we have Chris Spears, amazing photographer, and so I go to the sidelines, and I do my thing on the sidelines during the game, and then either I go to the post-game press conference or whatever. But now they post that online, so it's not really necessary to go in there, and I don't ask a lot of questions. I have Franz Beard, I have other great writers in there asking questions that they don't need my information, but once in a while I'll jump in. But my point is, the perspective is different. I have been one time on the sidelines. I did an LSU game for the Tim Tebow years when we were there in Baton Rouge. And I've always said, I've been to every SEC stadium. I've done sidelines for every SEC school. Actually Texas as well. And A&M. But the point is that the uniqueness of the fear factor in Death Valley, like there's something different on the sidelines that is even different than when I was like in Tallahassee, or when I'm getting batteries thrown at me from in Tallahassee, or even Miami, which I've done all those stadiums. Something different.
Brendan, literally there's something on the sideline. Back in the day, they used to have Mike the Tiger in his cage.
I was there.
They would park him right
Yes.
where the visiting team would have to come in.
Holy shit, that was
I was a Tulane ball boy at 12 years old, having to walk past Mike the Tiger, a live Bengal tiger. You talk about intimidating, but
Yeah.
that's why they passed the hat in the third and fourth quarter. When that embarrassment, when we went down 35-7 in the second half to Texas A&M, someone who we have owned since they've gotten into the SEC, there to Scott Woodward's credit, and this is why I don't want to, I hate losing him. He had the stones to tell Brian Kelly, no, you're not telling us how it goes. This is LSU. The name on the front of the jersey is much better than the name that's on the back of the jersey, including the head coaches. You're done. And he gets rewarded by the governor by basically getting his pants pulled down on an obscure press conference, of all things, a throwaway press conference. He gets shanked a 2-minute soundbite, and now he's gone. That's dysfunctional. But that's the problem with LSU. We're the most northern
school in the state.
With the flag,
you get all the attention.
We're the flagship. Look, with all due respect to my friends at Tulane and the fact that I grew up a Tulane fan, LSU is it. And let me tell you, it's more important than the governor who the hell head coach is at LSU. I can tell you that right now.
I mean, I've watched that clip. We had it on yesterday with Kevin Skarbinski. If you haven't seen it, go check out the show.
I saw Scarbo's, yeah,
and that you'll see that clip. But the point is that there was some grandstanding.
Sure.
Which is look, he's politicians going to take advantage. But this is what you said something earlier that I think is important. And I think this is something that I've said recently. The AD and the head ball coach now seem to be lockstep in these hirings, right? You get one, you get the other. We have good information that Lane Kiffin said, if I come to Florida, I'm not going to report to Scott Strickland. It's already that's known amongst the grumblings of, whether you like it or not. That's the legit. I've heard that. I know it's true. And so then what's the deal with that, Frank? Because this is where we're at. Because you don't want your other guys. And now if your timeline is from, we just gave Billy Napier way too much time, right? But he leaves the cupboards full, right? So does Billy Gonzalez come in, who, by the way, I do play this little game. Well, Billy Gonzalez is an Urban Meyer guy, and Urban Meyer is reported to talking to Billy Gonzalez. And then I'm like, Nick Saban's in the airport in Baton Rouge.
Would it be shits and giggles if Urban goes back to Florida?
Strong, baby, let's ride.
And Saban comes back to LSU. By the way, it would right two of the worst wrongs that have ever been perpetrated in college football.
Freaking they're like, we're gonna take this little Lane Kiffin boy. He can stay in his mid SEC freaking program. I don't care what you say. It will always, when he leaves, it'll go back to being Ole Miss.
Well, here's the bad part. Woodward and Saban were very tight. Yeah. So if we were going to go that route, we just blew our foot off. Well, hey, look, if you want to know how to get rid of Strickland, Ron DeSantis just has to go to a microphone. Only he's way too smarter.
He never walked by a microphone he didn't like. I'm telling you that. That DeSantis, he'll go up there and start he'll start firing everybody. And by the way, there's still the presidential problem that you're having at LSU. That's been a problem in Florida. Yeah. And so that's all a thing. You have to get in when you're dealing. You have to get into the administrative part of this. Who wants to have the scarlet letter of hiring a coach that sucks?
Well, I'm 99.9% sure it's going to be Wade Roos that's going to come in as he's the president at McNeese. I'm almost positive he's going to be our president. He'll probably be in place in the next 2 weeks. Then at that point in time, then he's going to determine we got to get an AD. But the problem is, you're under the clock against recruiting. Recruiting, literally, you got to have all this stuff in place by the first week of December. So not only do you have a problem of how do you deal with a Lane Kiffin, a Dan Lanning, Coach Summerall, when they're all in this process. Now, Summerall probably ruled himself out.
Works. Come on.
Well, he probably ruled himself out because he's not going to be in the playoffs because they got beat by
they're having handshake deals. I mean, they're going to have to. There's no way you're going to ride out
of course
the whole season and be like, well, I hope it works out.
Of course. But here's the thing. So you and I just joked that Florida, the porridge was too hot. Y'all went too long. But the porridge was too cold for us because we went too quick. and didn't think it out. We were like ready, fire, aim.
And
So
Jimmy Sexton's like, woo!
well, if Jimmy Sexton in the first trillionaire in America with the coaching changes this year. And by the way, that's another thing I got a problem with our governor for. He not only shot his mouth off, he gave inaccuracies. It wasn't Scott Woodward who has his fingerprints on the buyout at Texas A&M. It was their AD Bjork who came in and gave the extension. And look, he said that the Jimmy Sexton, or the same agent is one for all of them. No, Brian Kelly's agent is not Jimmy Sexton. So again, he went off half-cocked. And at the end of it, we now have a AD who brought us 4 national championships. And if you don't think bringing 2 national championships to baseball, and we played y'all in the championship game, you know how important that 2 out of 3 series was. And we now ran him off. If you don't know who the next guy is, you don't gun the guy that you got. And now we've got an AD and a coach that we've gunned, and we don't have the next one heir apparent, to my knowledge.
It's just bad business.
It's crazy.
It's bad business not to fire a CEO and not have a CEO ready to go. You don't do that. You go get your CEO first, and then you fire it. Now,
I like Verge Osbury. Verge is a great guy.
But you don't if you don't create the availability, you can't go knocking on doors. So
we've got an assistant AD that can step in. The players love him. He's a former player. He can keep the ship at least going in the right. Because because we got an iceberg.
ADs are overrun anyway. I think
we got an iceberg 8 days from now in Tuscaloosa. We might get embarrassed 2 games in a row if we don't have. But Frank Wilson.
Bro, with Billy Napier, I had to learn to lose to Vandy. I had to learn to kick a field goal in a bowl game, not to get wiped out by the Cincinnati Bearcats. I had to watch that. I had to sit there and watch FSU take us to the woodshed. I had to watch 10 years of this shit.
I know.
And I still miss Dan Mullen.
Well, and by the way, I've actually heard his name come up in the LSU
come home,
search.
Baby.
I've heard his name.
If I were you, I would be out there telling every freaking person that's my guy. He's a weirdo, but his wife is cool. Okay, his wife is super nice and super cool, and she keeps him cool. And he's just you know what I won't go out, but Dan Mullen knows how to develop players, and that's what he does. And if you don't have a quarterback and a defense, it doesn't matter. He doesn't try to go fix it. He goes and gets the right guy in the right spot.
I've watched a pro quarterback digress. Injury.
What's UNLV's record now? I haven't even looked. They started off hot.
Who's that? UNLV?
Yeah,
I don't know. I think a couple
of reps.
Yeah, a couple losses, maybe 1-2 losses.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, they.
Yeah, no, I think he's a great coach, and you're right. He develops talent, but I'm telling you right now, the reason that LSU has 3 losses, we can't defend a running quarterback in this league. The days of a pro passing quarterback are limited. Especially if you have an offensive line that you've built through the transfer portal, because they're not cohesive, and our offensive line has not been cohesive the entire year, maybe with the exception of the Clemson game. You got to be able to tuck it and run, and we didn't have that ability. So we haven't even we've talked for now. I know we got to get off 28 minutes, but we haven't even touched on the football side of this. Now, I do think Frank Wilson, who stepped in as the interim coach, will get the most out of him. So I'm hoping that we don't get embarrassed in the last 4 games.
They're such trap games. It does. It's just such a you hope you don't get your main guys hurt. You keep guys excited for the program, and you know what they do if they've, that's why they even said if someone like Kiffin or whatever to be hired, they would finish out the season and send a couple of coaches down to to do stand-in. That's all crazy. But our time is wrapped up. Frank, give me a prediction for this weekend.
Prediction for this weekend. Our governor gets cast in the new Waterboy 2 movie that's probably going to be coming out anytime soon now. That's my guess.
So perfect. South Park could do a whole episode on it.
I'm going with Vandy. I'm on the Commodores train. I'm on the steamship. Hit the horn. I'm a Vandy fan now.
I like him. Go Commodores.
Thank you, guys. We'll see
All right,
y'all next
Frank,
week.
we'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us. Watch the show tonight. We're gonna have I do a little wrap up show with some replays starting at like 7:00. College a round table football show that we do. It's a Friday college wrap up. So check us out there. If not, we'll see you guys Monday. Frank Duffy, thank you, sir. I'm Brendan Martin. Enjoy the games this weekend and go Gators.
Shut off the governor's mic. Shut it off. Shut it off.
Get off the stage.